So that whole wall.
That whole wall.
So what did the area look like?
You just had one counter, no individual. You're not going to share this with the world, are you? Back in that corner was where the Gale equivalent was. Here, this office was Virginia Higgins. Oh. And then we had Debbie Valdez. And then we had the dean. It wasn't that title then. And then at the end were the two assistants to the dean. And we had student services advisors in those spaces.
So when you sort of those spaces, we're talking about the testing and
the area that Nancy's in, and then over here, this office. Financial aid and some. Then, after a while, they split when Virginia left and Carlos was here until we were 56. And then they said this office was split in half, and this office was split in half. They moved the switchboard out here. And those were shared, half of each one by an advisor and financial aid. So there was an exit out here, and then the other half of it exited this way. It didn't exit into this.
So those doors were put in later?
No, they were there.
Oh, they were there.
They were there. They just didn't, at the beginning when they started, they didn't have the office split. And this one was split. So the first half of it was the switchboard and the back half was a.
So this would have been an admin, because I think what I heard you say was Virginia, Debbie, the dean, and the two associate deans.
Well, two admin assistants. Okay. So that was Jerry Waltershire, and eventually they hired Irene. Irene was there for a long time. So Irene started.
So Virginia was here during the transition, if I understand her husband's notes, and then was back later.
She was here when I started, so in '87, she was not interim. She was the director.
So I think they must have had somebody else from 1980.
They did, and so I could almost come up with that name. Angela was the equivalent of the dean, Angela Coop, and I remember talking to her about it. It was a man who then went on to serve on the school board, and he moved around and so he's the one that was at the beginning. He hired an interim, and then he came back, and so they hired Virginia as the regular.
So he
started, yeah. And then I'm not real clear what happened. I know that he had Virginia as the interim, and I don't know whether there was a lag between the time she was interim and then not.
It looked like it in what her husband left. It looked like she was here as the interim, and then she came back as the executive director late 80s.
Well, I know she was here in 87, and she left not too long, like 88 or 89.
Oh. Lisa, what do you got?
Well, building one is part of the original, and it's been reconfigured at least once, but probably more than that. Gail remembers this being as classrooms, so it was clearly reconfigured before we took occupancy, or when we took occupancy. So I couldn't tell you about that, but I think it's been reconfigured at least twice, if not more than that. I couldn't tell you what paid for it, although the community has had capital improvement bond for this campus. I believe they had one of those for the library.
Yes.
I don't know about the student center, but my gut tells me probably. As far as these kinds of renovations, I don't know if they went out to the community or not.
This was part of that original Casa Vino and the bond to create the spaces.
And all of those are retired, so we have no debt right now. So that's pretty much what I know about this one from From a stewardship standpoint, because it's part of the original complex, the envelope belongs to LAPS. The roof belongs to LAPS. But we are, per the terms of the lease, liable for upkeep, maintenance, replacement systems. But, as we learned with the hailstorm, when it comes to roofs, we don't replace roofs, they do.
They do use LAPS's insurance.
Because their insurance covers the envelope of the building. So when we go to restucco the outside, we're going to have to get their permission. Get their permission.
So if we do anything, in the past, sometimes we talk about eliminating these, we're going at external mailboxes. If we external those, we have to talk to them.
Probably would be wise, although I think it would be small enough that it would be insignificant. But that would be the right thing to do. I don't know, it's the breezeway always been there.
Since I know, yes. And I can remember when it was in elementary school and when they closed it, that it was before I had kids here or in school, and so I really, it was never on the campus.
No, I don't. I'm sure that yes. But both Steve and Gail in the elementary school here for some period of time. Not the entire time.
This was closed probably in the early 70s. Mid-70s probably. As an elementary school.
So you talked about those offices. How about that side?
This side.
The right side.
Since I started working here, no construction has been done in this building except for removing the wall that separated this office into two and this office into two.
You mentioned the way I remember right here, I understood those were advising officers. So
Yes.
where you are Nancy and where the testing center is, the advisors. Okay. So, Kay, when it closed in the 1970s, would anything happen to it between 70 and 80?
It was just sitting here. There was an election to decide whether to use this space for UNLA. This was the bond, I assume, that would build it. Or there was a western area that they were considering doing as well, which, by the way, would have burned in 2005 or so. It's just not that benefit. Even though, own it, we would have owned that.
And there was an election? You went to the voters?
We went to the voters.
So do we want UNMLA at the, can we call it the old Mesa site? Or Western?
The western area. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what that area is now. I knew at the time that it was over there someplace.
Cool. That's right. So, logically, we can either go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or we could go as we grew as a campus. Which way would we go? How did we grow as a campus?
Oh, I believe it was 2, 3, 4, 5.
In that same order?
Well, they were all built at the same time.
But 2 was only a small.
2 was a small 2, about the size of
3 and 4.
3 or 4. Yeah.
So 2 would have been.
Oh.
Can I still capture it somehow?
I'm not going to be able to tell you.
We didn't get 6 right away then?
Pardon me?
We didn't get 6 right. Oh,
No. 6 was being used to.
All of 6 was being leased to the lab. Is that correct? So we got the property.
Well, no wonder everybody
No, it
was
wasn't
the
just the lab, it was some contractors.
There was some contractors,
Okay.
but a lot of it was the lab. The long hallway was the lab, and then the ends was a different contractor.
So, somewhere between the gutter and this actual wall was the first original building to it. That direction, correct. It was very similar to 3, 4, and 5. It had a big old window, a cashier's window on the outside.
The cashier's window. And it had 2 classrooms in it. And it had, one of them was kind of large. That was the biggest room we had at the time.
Where would that have been?
It was this side of the building. It was the end of the building, and there was
So
a
roughly
small
here.
office in front of it.
Okay.
Kind of like the one in Building 4, like that office, except it wasn't as deep.
Okay.
And then there was a smaller classroom over on the side, and a bathroom. That was all that was in there.
And so that was the next expansion.
2, 3, 4, and 5 were pretty much on the same bond.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what we
That was
labeled
the
them.
original.
We labeled them by numbers.
That's right. That's the way they've always been.
And so then 6 came on board in stages. We'll get to that when we get there. When did the other part of 2 come on board?
Well, 1 and 2, 90s.
And
Somewhere in the 90s.
it was when Tina Ledusky Taylor was the dean, so it was after Angela Kukla, and Tina had been here almost 5 years, so she managed the library part of it. Is that 2 separate bonds?
I think
Yes,
it was.
It was 2 separate bonds. So Tina managed this one first.
Tina was the dean then?
Tina was the dean. And that was about the last thing she did before she left.
So the academic dean managed the construction of the library. Who managed the construction of this one?
And I'm going to
I
guess
think it
that's-
was Debbie.
I'm going to guess that's when they built the road off the dike and made access to make this the front of the campus as opposed to the 40th Street Circle.
We're always coming in there from the what we still call the circle.
And all of this is on the front. Which is why we own the front. We installed it, we pave it, we stripe it, we started maintaining it. Whereas LATS takes care of the back because that lot was there. Or the parking was there.
And so, Jeremy, we own, that's probably when we changed our address. It became 4000 University Drive, because before that we would have been something 45th Street probably.
I think the utilities still have the address on 40th Street.
Okay, good. Well, you want to do this one now, then?
We might as well go on to 2.
Okay, let's do it.
So 2, like Kay said, 2, 3, 4, 5 were all done. And if you look at the floor plans, you can see where they did sort of economies of scale because they repeated themselves. But when they decided to add on this part of it, the student center part, they reconfigured what was into.
There was a large classroom here, and then there was a glass front. They put in a glass front before they did the reconfiguring, and that's where they had the career center for a while in that glass area. Then the bookstore had been in the trailer that was out where Building 8 is now, and they moved it into one of these classrooms over here, the bookstore. That was about the time Steve took over for the bookstore, and then when they reconfigured it, the bookstore got put back in the trailer for a while.
So when I came after Sarah Grande fire in 2000, the bookstore was down in the basement in just a room, temporary until they got here.
Until they got this.
So this must have opened around 2000, 2001?
There's actually a plaque on here. I wonder if that's it.
I think that's from the campus. I think so.
Dedicating the campus. Yeah.
84.
So it's not this building, it's just the
So in
campus.
80 is when we started. So if you look at the dates of the advisory board members, they all started in 80. Yeah.
That was the school.
Singer.
No, I'm not seeing.
Yeah. And Miriam Hunsinger is the one who died recently that I could have easily had a conversation with, but I didn't realize she had been on the board.
So Pete Lyons was part of the instigator for starting the campus.
So there's another name that's not there, Joe Taylor. Do you know the Joe Taylor name? So Joe Taylor's daughter introduced herself to me and said her dad was on the school board when we started.
There we go. This was the name I couldn't think of. Herbert Lyons.
There's your name. Okay. Steve Steiner.
Who I saw
Was the director.
about a week and a half ago.
What now?
Who I saw about a week and a half ago.
Where is he? Is he here?
He's here. I think he's legally blind and frail, as his age would indicate, but still going.
So I'm looking here. The director at the time was Robert Lyon.
So he's the one that began the campus.
So he would have started.
He's the name I
he
can
lasted
think of.
80 to 84 at least, right?
Yeah.
He began, and then he was there in 84. And then Angela Coop was what we would now call the dean. Mary Baxter.
Oh, Bob Ema. Amy. Excuse me,
It's
Bob
Amy.
Amy.
And his wife was an English person here and ran the Women in Science program when we got that grant.
Have you ever heard of Betty Myers?
Betty Myers, you don't know Betty?
She does.
She's
No,
still
I was thinking Register might have heard of her. But
She's still here. She was the original, and she stayed for a long time.
interesting.
I don't know if Barbara knows that her husband, that she knows her husband. He's on probably a lot of blacks.
I think he's on a lot of blacks. Very cool.
Okay. So we'll go on in. I don't know much about other than at some point determined that it was important to have student center. So, for whatever reason, they decided to build out the front of the campus, which is why they put both the library and over here. I'm going to guess they wanted to maximize space, which is why they added on to building 2. And they actually did that habit. They added on to 1 to build with 0 clearance to building 7, and they added on to 4 and 5 with 0 clearance to maximize the space.
0 clearance.
Any walls,
Okay.
shared walls.
Shared walls like we have there. You said they decided to build out what was vacant. But it was still part of our footprint lease from the school. Is that correct?
Well, I have to believe that. I don't know that there was ever any land acquisition associated with getting from Diamond to here, so I have to assume that it was already owned by public schools. So the fact that the field is next door makes me think they did.
So Mesa Field is interesting to me because a lot of people in town think Mesa is ours until the school put track and field stuff on, and that was the signal that it was theirs. We don't know any controversy when we were building out about whether it was.
Well, I'm sure they had to provide easement. Yeah. I mean, you might want to look at the amendments and see if it was added later on. And they carved out access to come up with retention of the field too.
Okay.
Which is why we have such a curvy road.
Could be. You know what I forgot to do was get my keys. Get my keys. I'll be right back. My master key.
So let's sit and rest for a little bit because I have a discussion point there. It's the same chairs that are outside the dean's office. So if we're going to one-time money to buy new chairs to replace these chairs there, some height between Nancy's and
Yeah, no kidding.
they look like they're the same, but they sit side by side.
Well, but you can look at the bottom and you can tell that this one is
Should we
6 inches
retire
lower.
these chairs and bring yours in here too? And should we keep the same?
I see students sitting here every now and then, but they're not used like they are outside the dean's office.
I wonder though if is there room? Is it legal in the space to put a lift station? I would rather see a computer with some chairs in this space than all of these chairs.
Let's think about it. If we're going to order some chairs and try to get them here in August, it would be nice to have a refresh furniture. As we go through the day, listen to that other, because you've got new chairs out in your lobby. These just will brainstorming while you have your tea. If you want to sit, you can sit. If you want to stand, you stand. We're talking about these chairs are also the kind of older version of the chairs similar to what we have in the dean's office. We're going to get into the dean's office. And here as well. And then Bathroom suggestions and a workstation in this area.
There should be no only gallery. How much space have you available?
Workstation for that.
Well, people hang out here just to sit here, but if there was a computer and chair here in this space instead of just a bunch of chairs, you could shut down.
Oh. So there's not connectivity. So you're talking about creating connectivity. You're also talking about egress, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was the.
And the second is that we have like 8 stations. Is more better, or should we be taking a look at usage of what we have?
That's true, and I remember Bill specifically saying that the internet access in this building was particularly difficult.
Maybe we could put one row of chairs in like the driveway split up like the mall or something.
Okay. So you look at your key, so you're thinking something.
I don't know what you think. Can you remember about this corner?
Well, it was the only thing that, I mean, it was all built at the same time whenever the whole thing was built. So the only thing I remember is there was a bathroom, a room that faced this way where you had to kind of go through that little space and go in, and then a room on this side that had a doorway that was the biggest room we had on campus at the time.
So they chose to reconfigure what was originally based on, and they chose to make a student government, so that must have been some input that they had.
Which has been a very useful room. And still, if you look at utilization rates, this is a highly utilized room. More for a lot of things, to be honest with you. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the collection of art in general and maybe any specifics as we go?
Well, over the years, we've had lots of pieces donated. They're all on the S drive under our inventory folder. We've reviewed it. We took a lot of time to clean it up because they were all over the place. And so I think it's accurate as far as location and artist and when we received it. This particular one is macro shots of the mural that's outside of Building 3. It's the one on the mural on Building 3 was terribly damaged by the hail. We looked into getting it restored. It's going to be in excess of $10,000. So I don't know if we're going to go that direction or not. And the artist said he would do it, but we'd have to put him up for 3 months up here, and it's almost to do work, so that adds to the 10,000.
Who's this?
Do you know which one? One of your many relatives.
For something with an F.
I thought it was Umberto. Federico?
Federico, yeah.
Okay. And this is the same artist who did.
Federico. Thank you.
Who did the murals that are on 285 between Santa Fe and Hawaii. But he has a lot of public art around town. He did, I think, quite a bit at the Hispanic Cultural Center. So, but well-known Hispanic artist. But the items that are in the inventory, I think we have to be careful. There was a habit of every time we have a fundraiser, we take 1 or 2 paintings off the wall and include them in. We really have to honor the artist's wish, and if we choose to sell one, we have to get their permission.
These weren't done by Federico, though. Somebody
These are photos.
produced them. They're photos.
They're really just photos of what it looked like
Of
originally.
portions of it's that macro
Big
photography
mural number 3.
where you zoom in on a component. You don't take the whole picture.
They look good.
Yeah, they do.
And
Colors are so vibrant.
the 2 that are behind you are done. The colors are still vibrant. Yeah. And 2 behind you are done by the same artist. I don't know anything about that artist.
And artwork is primarily in halls and not in classrooms and offices?
Correct. There can be exceptions to that.
Right. Well, there was a piece of art in the office I inherited that was owned by you.
Okay, so this was the storage for the bookstore.
I don't know what it was before the bookstore. It
was always the bookstore. Whenever they built it, that's what they built it for.
So now this has become the archive. If you look at U&M policy as far as archiving documents, certain things have, in my case, capital projects have to be restored forever.
99 years is what they told us on faculty.
Okay, so there.
99 years.
For financial things, it's around 7 years. For personnel things, it's around 7. Some are as little as 3, but you need to go to the archive policy to see what your were. And so these condensed files are available for any department if they want to get it out of their space. It's always locked. As you can see, it's not completely filled. So, and this is somebody else's archive. I'll say this is instruction.
I don't even know this was here.
Drawer 1 left side, drawer 1 right side.
I had no idea it was here.
Finance committee information's average contract. I think it's instructions.
Yeah, this is electromechanical
History. So,
destroy date 2012.
2000 put in storage. So that one. So periodically, departments need to come and clean their stuff up. But
there's the GO bonds from 1999.
So anyway, it's just space for this. It doesn't make any. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to.
On the floor side? No. Oh, so you would need to
That one
that
doesn't
one.
move.
So really, you have one.
Oh, that one?
Oh, no.
This one does.
These two on the left.
Yeah.
But Kay Willerton, there's a Beverly Willerton file here.
Yay.
That might be personnel.
Well, what I'm smiling at is Teresa's on a mission to make sure that we have nothing filed by Social Security numbers, because some people still have Social Security numbers on those files, and it's not. You are 10, and it's supposed to be year 10, 2010, 2011. I know.
It's not just some people.
So let me look. Do these have them on the file tabs?
This is where I was seeing your name. So they've been cleaned up at some level.
But it is a lock storage. So.
Available for anyone.
Well,
for the archives, but for the archives.
I'll come in. I don't have anything to do in the next 3 days. I'll come in and see what needs to be
Anything
cleaned
worth hanging on to.
Yeah. So, light, how do you first the light?
It's in the other room.
Oh, it's in the other room.
It's auto, I think.
It's, Cindy, it's on because the other room is on.
Oh. The key to this would be you, Alex, Betsy.
I don't have a master. This is the master for the whole campus.
That you got from. Thank you.
But yes, Betsy and Alex could tell you who has that key. It's pretty small subset of This is Alex's storage for events. This is the back way into the kitchen.
Okay. What's up here?
When Roger Sweet was still in charge of fine arts, he used to hang art shows in here quite frequently. I think that might be something worth pursuing in the future.
When you say you would hang art shows, because right now when we think of art shows in the community, we think of the library. So
he would do similar things here.
We were the art show place before the library was an art show place.
That was before the library.
Did you ever see the series? Was it usually this one?
Yes.
Did it start before you?
No, it started after he died.
That's why there's all music equipment back in here. Keyboards, etc.
And that's also some lighting. So when sometimes I'm in here and Alex used to adjust the lights, that's a pair of radios to adjust the lights.
These 7 pieces, is that right, are from Mr. Kajan. He is, or was, I don't know if he's still with us, elderly artist at Santa Fe. I went down probably in 2010 and picked up those 2 and 7, which are the last one that we've gotten from him. Armenian gentleman, very, very sweet gentleman who's when you walk in his house, it's like a museum because every square inch of his wall is covered with this work. A little claustrophobic. But anyway, very nice South Coast stuff.
So the same artist will be doing.
Yeah, all of this is history too. Pretty sure I should do that.
And then the pianos and organs.
I don't know the history of them other than the piano and the music teachers association that they raised the money to pay for the baby grant. Before my time, sometime in the 2000s, early 2000s. I don't know how the other pianos made their way in here. I'm guessing we bought some of them.
And there were some donations, and at the time I can tell you who it was, but I don't remember either which piece and which person donated.
Will you know how much it costs?
Very not much. And there's students playing here every now and then.
So that's the baby grant.
Yeah. I never believed I played with organs.
And we moved the oldest one over into Wallace's year. We wanted to have somebody think about it. We just put it over here so potentially it is.
So what is someone like Juanita or some of those who assess that? Do we pay them to have a funeral?
No.
But we're
Not regular,
but we're
have
supposed to.
if
we had a class.
We had one Tim before marathon.
We've had two for graduation.
Not
Were you
regular.
two in graduation?
Mm-hmm.
You were out here?
But not regular.
And that board just goes into the students.
Right, and on that kind of thing you asked us to do inventory, I made note that this does have an exterior entrance if you ever wanted to reconfigure the space in a way that exterior entrance was important. I don't know the thought process on why, other than if you made a catering event and put all the food in the front, that would allow the catering to go in the back and the line. But I don't know that for a fact.
Seems to me that there was a thing at one point with one of those colorful walls there. Those are closed off. That back with one of those accordion walls.
So I can tell you that sometimes when you're in here for an event, it looks very cluttered there. There used to be just tables stored there. Alex took care of that for us. But it still looks, because that is the front of the room when you're talking about when they didn't really move on any other campus, we're here for a debate or whatever it might be. But a piano looks very nice. 2 or 3 looks different.
Well, even if you don't partition off, you can use curtains.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
So this is all the piano stuff. It must be, I don't know, maybe it was sound that he was working on. He was working on either sound or lights one, and I really didn't pitch right now. Obviously, you don't really have to come and clean up an inventory, do you?
Well, the music stuff belongs to fine arts. The stuff that's not music, I don't know who it belongs to.
There's Christmas lights. There's a string of white lights. We need to decorate.
Lily Tischler's the one that uses those keyboards, but now we've got a problem with him being able to teach those, so I don't know when we're going to hear that again.
Teach music or teach law?
Teach music.
So you can still teach music.
He can teach sociology, but he has a master's in music, so he's got a resume that's large.
Have you all ever been in here?
Yes, I have.
We have it. Give us the nickel from
You have
the
it? Okay, so we've progressively taken more stuff out of here as we've gotten vendors in here. They don't want the built-ins. So this is all that's left in the front. We've probably got cabinets somewhere in the storage that used to hang up above.
see, we got this for Jeremy. That was one of the things he asked for as part of his lease.
Lisa, when it was originally built, it was built to be food services kitchen for the campus.
Yes, to my knowledge, this has not been remodeled from the original blueprint.
Okay. And then you and MLA ran it for several years. Probably from the beginning until
2010 or 11, somewhere in that neighborhood.
And then we went through 3 outside vendors.
Pizza place first, then Martini's from Espanola, and then Kenny's.
And then it was nothing for some period of time. And now Jeremy has more or less, we started with the front and he keeps wanting a little bit more, so we're moving a little bit more here.
Well, just recently, Jeremy asked some reconfiguration in here, so the fridge has been moved over, which, interesting enough, helps with the sound echo into there. It used to really bounce right through, and now it's bouncing around in that back room wall, which is a good thing. These are all original pieces of equipment, so they're probably approaching 15 plus years. For a commercial kitchen, that's pretty good life, and given the fact that they were not cared for as they should have been. I know the dishwasher has never worked since I've been here. Refrigerator's been repaired a time or two, but it's the original refrigerator, and the freezer's been replaced.
So just to give you guys an idea, Jeremy would like to be able to use the stove. In order to get it, I guess, to get past inspection, we need some specs on the stove. We can't find even a model number to get specs on the stove. So Betsy, and it's one of those, apparently it works, but we may or may not be able to use it.
And then your storage back here. Again, you can kind of see a lot of the shelves are just morphing. And usually we don't use them, taking doors off. I'm sure if we had a food provider that upfitted the space, it would look entirely different.
Say that again now, Lisa.
If we had you know how when a restaurant goes to a space, they basically get a shell, and then they devise how they want the layout of their restaurant to be. If we had that same approach, I think you would find one large space that completely is morphed differently than what was the way it was built. Can you flip the switch behind you? Thank you.
I think these lights here turn off too, right?
Okay.
Well, I don't remember. Did I put them on?
You turned it on. Okay.
Going in the back is on.
When I first got here, that was the fountain area. I don't know. It was always the fountain.
Yeah.
A water fountain?
No,
Great
soda.
fountain. So in that little alt alcove? Okay.
The artwork in here was part of the building.
So is this part of the art public places art? Okay. Do we know anything about, is it on the, I can look it up on the website?
I don't know anything about the art. I'm actually just doing a little research. This piece here is done by the same woman who had all of those slides in the library. Completely different techniques, where she was doing, Dennis will remember what it was, the slides that were a continuous slide around his sitting area, and this is obviously a different painting technique completely. So, again, you just have to look her up, but same artist. I don't know why this room was configured this way. Do you know?
There's a pool table here once upon a time.
Yeah. And that's what they bought for the space, so maybe that's why they built it that way.
And that was a pool table that the student government took the proceeds and put into a textbook fund for
potentially helping students who needed help with their textbooks. It never generated more than $20 a year though.
So it's not easy, but we could possibly put something there and store all of our stuff in there as opposed to just having.
It could be explored. I don't know if there would be any limitations not to do it. I think you would argue that putting it more like we're doing
I was thinking of something very flexible, but if someone else that's from the chamber event says, well, why do you store your furniture here? And I smiled and I said, well, it's usually around the corner. And right now we've got 2 types of chairs and 3 or 4 types of tables.
Well, the plastic chairs are really appropriate for the middle here if we're going to have food service, as opposed to the patty chairs.
Has anyone ever been responsible for keeping displays in those display cabinets? I know that we have events, somebody put something
They
there.
call one of them student government and the other one PTK, but I don't know where that came from.
I don't either.
I know that Barb and Pat in the past, when I've asked them to, have put things in there, but it's been very temporary. Mm-hmm. So it might be nice to.
We've been putting stuff every time we have like a parents' return celebration, but there isn't anything happening right now.
Mm-hmm. So I
almost like it'd be nice to have a permanent display, pull it down, put the special in, take the special down, put the permanent up, so that there's always something there. These chairs are relatively new too, right?
The green ones?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Or the green ones.
At least 10 years, if not more.
So it's only the reddish ones that are the new ones?
More than 10 years.
They've been here longer than I've been.
Yeah.
The green ones?
Yeah. Because they had the couch. So
They had the couch as well.
Yeah, the couch as well. Yeah. I'm not sure if the couch as well.
The story on this sign,
No, I don't know, Alex.
Anthony Valdez
Every now and then.
wanted it,
Anthony Valdez wanted it,
and
and
he took care of putting things on it at the time.
And Alex does some things on there. So if you need a change, he's the one to see. And the balconies are usable, but they're so narrow that we rarely open it. Sometimes the only times we open is when we need ventilation. They're actually a liability.
yeah. I've been out there on a couple of occasions, but I don't remember.
Hanging a banner?
Kate's retirement. Kate's retirement party was in when you had like people were milling around out there talking. So
I'm going to run and do a student payment.
thank you.
So this one was known as the media room. That's what they labeled it. It had a big old honking flat screen. No, it wasn't flat screen. Just a big old honking TV.
Before the days of flat screen.
And if I remember, there were just comfortable chairs, like couches and things like that in here. Is that right?
I don't want to say plural. There were. I don't think there were many couches. I think there was maybe 1 or 2.
But it wasn't desks and chairs. It was seating to watch TV, basically.
So my memory, and I don't know what yours is 9/11. I came up and taught a class, and then several of us came over here to get what was on TV to get an update. And so that's probably the only time I remember being in this room. Maybe there was another time when some of us would get lunch from over there and eat in here if there was a lot of traffic up there already.
Soap operas would be on there.
Soap operas. I don't remember soap operas. Watching soap operas, that was a college thing to do, or maybe a college staff thing to do. So the renovation recently was with the money from the HSI grant, right? Did the HSI grant pay for the whiteboards and those boards and the computer equipment in here? And maybe the tables, I don't know.
No, the tables No, we didn't have it right. Well, okay, we move on.
But you could have 2 more displays in here too. So this one is classified now as a classroom in our space utilization.
And it's used some, but it's kind of small and it has to be the small class and administration and evaluation. So.
It's good for community events because of the access. So as far as Democratic Party, Republican Party, that kind of stuff, this is a good spot to recommend.
The Community Foundation meets regularly here once a month. The display here is the same sort of thing, though. Was this ever one big open room, or did they just want to have a display? So I'm thinking about committees. Where everybody says there are too many committees, but there used to be like an art and public art committee of some sort. And I'm thinking, there was an art committee, and if they took care of the displays, that would be interesting. That was a very fast student.
Yeah, it's at 11 minutes.
Okay. Is that just a fuse box behind the wall?
Right there? Well, it's an access panel. I couldn't tell you exactly what it's for, but my gut would be maybe some of the electronics, but I don't know. It's just an access panel.
This is my favorite room on campus. I mean, when I go to the county, I have my favorite room at the county. At the bank, I have my favorite room at the bank. This is my favorite room on campus because if the weather is nice and you open the windows, it's a very light area. We have renewed out. I noticed, who was the senator representative that was here that one day? Remember?
Oh, Brian Ebach.
I noticed on Alex's schedule, it's very vague, but someone had rented this out. It sounds like another hearing kind of thing. So,
they do, it's depositions.
So some people rent out this room, so I think it's a nice room for people to know that we have on campus. It's available.
When this building was originally done, there was supposed to be an elevator, and I'm trying to remember where it was supposed to go.
In that closet downstairs.
But I don't remember how the access here was in this level.
Maybe it was part of that storage.
No, it was.
Well, so it's in this far corner before it turns to dirt.
Yeah, so it may have been.
What was it? Just a cost issue that caused them not to do it?
So they put one over there, but
it was going to exit into student services. So the problem we have a lot is people are here and they need an elevator, and they're still not catching the sign on that door. And so we still need some different signage to help them know that there's that one. And then occasionally I've been here late and I will tell them, and then that door is locked. And so we really have to make sure that we get it so that, because we're getting more community events on campus, which is good, but we need to be able to facilitate the people.
What's interesting too downstairs when we lived there is there's something about just the design of the space that automatically sent people there looking for an elevator, even though there wasn't a sign. So on a weekly basis we were directing people back out the door.
Probably because of the handicap is designed there.
The door. Yeah.
So they probably get used to looking at that. Is the flag always in here?
No, sometimes they go into the.
I hope it's recording loud enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
So, to my knowledge, this was always designed for the bookstore.
Yes.
I remember the bookstore in here.
Yourself. See that sign? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting the recording. Scrap paper, help yourself.
Help yourself.
So tell me again what we did. We did some reconfigurations when we converted it from the bookstore to the academic support center. What did we do?
Yeah, it's a long table.
So that
we
one.
cut the table off.
Okay.
emptied out all the shelves.
So did the table used to come about to where the office was?
Right where Lisa's standing.
About where I was standing.
But Steve's office was back there.
You can see where the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
Attached, yeah.
Okay. And then, but Steve did not have a door, and now neither Mary nor.
Correct. There was never a door. There's never a door. So no, we didn't do anything there. This is one that where the HVAC really needs to be done carefully because the HVAC for this room is for that room is controlled in here, and that room gets direct morning sun, and it's inconsistent. So when the HVAC gets hooked into it, we need to look at the zones and see if we can make it more efficient. We still have leakage issues with the roof, partly because the storm's coming from that direction, from the northwest, and so they come in angular. You can see we still have the gutters get full, they don't drain real quick. We don't have a leak per se in the roof, but we get this volume of issue, and so it's not as bad as it used to be. You can see some puckering on the paint as it come down. But all the roofs were redone in 2011. The Gale storm was actually 2009. Yes, this storm. And it took us over a year to get the insurance claim approved. And so we had buckets around for a long time. It's like a sieve. And this was one of the ones that they had to do a lot of hard work, and it's still not 100%, but that's a little bit of it.
The HVAC was that part of the geothermal that we were first in 2000? I mean,
I think this building is the first wave of ones that
the funds have passed for this building.
Yeah, the ones that should be going out to a job project this winter, this summer. This building should be.
So the story that you told, though, is a compelling story for me to possibly tell in the discussion in July. And that is that we have HVAC units that are serving areas that are completely different. One is getting the morning sun, controlled by this one. Do we have any of those in the areas that we're going for the new geothermal? Is that story?
Well, I have to go back and see how. Remember, we carved down a $600,000 project from 333. So the ones that got pushed out, I have to look at those and see. But yes, it is a common. It's a common scenario. They have one thermostat controlling the zone that may have closed doors. So
doors and different sun exposure.
So that's not going to be unusual. But I think now they have a level of sophistication where they can do the zones a little bit more efficiently. And you can control a room that may share a unit. So nothing tricky in here really. The days when this thing is constructed as a bookstore, the bookstores were the cash cow in the university. And they were huge profit centers. And then the marketplace changed that. And so it's the reality of e-books and that kind of thing. So, bringing this to the central part of campus and making it the support center and removing the state, there's definitely a good choice.
So I'm going to ask a different question. In looking through the budget and past budgets compared to current budgets, when we had the bookstore, we had to pay the tax. And UNM charged us an arm and a leg to prepare the tax returns for us, regardless of the amount of the tax. There's still a need on campus for pens and papers and things like that. If this place sold pens and papers, and I know that's after this and that to get done, but we would have to pay that tax.
We would, and Jeremy has agreed to have some sliver of stuff available.
Okay.
And I mean a very small sliver. But he's already paying. He's already doing it.
So he's already doing his.
So we'd have to convince him that it would either be a break even or a money maker or a draw. And I think he is the best solution for that question.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, guys. Let's move on. Restrictions on board stuff. Anybody come and put something up?
No, we had a policy in my head.
And they do though, and I come and pull stuff down.
It's always supposed to be channeled through communications department. You're supposed to technically initial that, yes, you've seen it, and that way we know somebody has blessed it. But it's really a case of, and I'll agree with you, I go through here and I yank stuff off where some private businesses put their thing up here. And although I'm not against giving the business, you can't do one business over another. If it's a nonprofit, I don't bother unless it's a questionable nonprofit that I think maybe is not appropriate for our campus. But all the stuff that's on the boards in all of the buildings are supposed to be blessed by the communication.
Now, see, I didn't know that the other boards.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of stuff I haven't ever seen.
Each building has a public board. Mm-hmm. Some buildings have a board that's actually owned by PTK, student government. Mickey got permission to have a board for her communications department. So those are exceptions where they don't need to go through you. But there's still that diligence of making sure somebody just doesn't walk in and put, come see a, XXX show, and that needs to come off.
There was one that went up that was for a computer cybersecurity class, and it was, I pulled it down, it's throughout campus, and I thought, it's some other program, we don't know anything about it.
It's not
like
ours.
We're endorsing it if it's here, and it's not ours.
No.
Well, the one for the hacking weekend?
No, that was different. That
You're
was
talking
through
like
us.
a YMCA one or
no, it wasn't even in town. It was some online thing.
So I don't know where, but I think somewhere in this area, probably maybe there or there, we still need to point them that way for elevators. Because we've got the elevator sign there, but they're not. Lisa, share with everybody what you shared with us about the signs on campus, the blue signs, the turquoise signs on campus.
Well, the blue signs were here. I got here. Obviously, the department and the information was wrong. So if you go down to main campus, they have signage standards. And the signs that you put in the ground, freestanding, are in the neighborhood 5,000 a sign if you bring it up to their current standards. So what we did on a shoestring was we took the panels and had a sign maker, and I think it was Chimayo on that unit. And all he did was replicate what we had there before. So we weren't changing it. And because the hospital and the North Campus still use turquoise, technically we're meeting their standards, although they will argue that we should have gone red years ago. So I'm not opposed going red, and we try and keep introducing more red on campus. But if we go to their standards, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 of these no, more than that. We have probably about 10 of these freestanding in the ground. We have building ones, probably an equal amount that are mounted on the building. So if you do some, you best do them all, which means probably a $30,000 to $50,000 endeavor for new signage. Not inexpensive.
Well, and you in marketing now approve that color slide for certain things, right?
Which color?
This,
The turquoise.
whatever they call it, New Mexico something.
They have some colors. I don't know if they want you to use them though. It's not a primary. They're secondary.
I mean, the North Campus can use this without a problem. It's when people outside of North Campus, they give us issues that they don't think we're.
And they have rolled out the new logo, and they'll be really pushing on getting everything with the new font and the new logo.
So, I mean, I think if we ever go to the direction of signage, I would suggest that we can do a learning resource, a building tool, whatever you want to call them. But as far as a legend, you've got to make it flexible.
Absolutely.
The legend kills us.
So I'm even looking at the logo is different there, and I don't know why.
It's a decal.
That's a decal?
They're both decals.
Oh.
That's the cheapest way we had to get that on there.
Okay.
So, the other thing up here is, again, this was built out. Watering these areas potentially creates leaks downstairs in the server rooms.
and we had a terrible incident.
Oh, no.
Poor David Elliott, and you don't know David, poor David Elliott reported to Gene, we've got leak in the server room down there. And I swear to God, Gene said, okay, David, go clean it up, and gave him a mop. So he put him in that room with a mop. Wow. We're lucky David Elliott didn't get electrocuted. So we closed that off. That used to have plants in it. Mm-hmm. And we almost never water these trees, which fortunately they're established enough, but they have drainage issues under the building. So.
Both sides or just that side?
Well, that side caused the problem. I don't know if this does any damage on this side. We just don't do it.
Okay.
People up in the library, you can go all the way up to the top. We have a boiler up there, which sometimes calms down. But we have a railing now. David just painted, our maintenance guy painted that red. We wanted to see what it would look like starting to put red in like we have in the back railing with EMS. Mm-hmm. Just a reference point. It's something nobody really notices, but if we ever went that way and started to take care of the fencing and the railings.
But that is that's kind of a rust red.
That's the red that goes with the exterior stucco color.
Oh, but it's not a UNM red.
Well, UNM approved that stucco
They did?
color.
Okay.
So if I wanted to get up there, not that I do, but tell me how to do it.
You could actually take the elevator all the way up.
Do you need
I just go in and push it?
No, you have to. When you get upstairs in the special collections, there's a locked door. You go through that locked door, and that gives you access to the elevator to go to the final story.
Okay.
Oh, no, let's take care of the two. You all can thank Kathy for the box plants in here from graduation many years ago. This is what I'm saying. We should brand the front with that red by painting all over the No. I think the rose bush was from graduation. Maybe. Yeah, the rest of I got it. Oh, that's neat. That's on here. I brought in all the irises.
Are those the solar lights that were out there that were replaced?
That were out there, yeah.
Okay.
We were going to put them in the interior, but they don't get enough sun in the interior.
So when someone comes in here with a wheelchair, they come down here and then they have to just turn around and go like that. So that it works if they're coming to this building.
Services here.
But there's not a sign over there that says wheelchair access for
That's a good point, yeah.
services.
Anybody got pool noodles? Getting rid of pool noodles. That was in my office for Kiwanis.
Oh, that's the Kiwanis stuff that you
If
have.
somebody has kids that want pool noodles, you can have them.
Patrick?
Yeah, I don't know. We don't have a book.
Okay, so I'm going to guess this was designed specifically for student services. That sounds right. That's correct. So this used to be a drop-down, just like upstairs in the food service where we had drop-down gate. This is a drop-down gate here, but we reconfigured the front here so that you could walk through here. It used to be a solid block, and you had to walk around.
It was important when we used to do paper signs. But when we stopped doing that, it felt like we were communicating that it was closed off, not accessible, and like that.
Condensed files used to be in the back there where the tile is. But now that all student records are saved electronically, obviously we had to reconfigure it up in Building 3 for the science labs. It should be open, I think.
Just, Lisa was telling me the other day, didn't used to have the wall there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
Did anybody remember? Do you remember that?
When I came, it was already here, but I knew because the light control.
Well, I don't think it was a legal renovation.
And so they put the wall in and put the window, which there must be a reason, but we don't know what it is. So,
I mean, it's a large space if you took the wall down, but right now it's not being used.
There's services people out here. You have a lot of students, people checking the computer and activity here. I'm not saying you don't, but generally I don't see very much. The other half of that room.
Now we have the safe down here, so that at least gives us 2 locked barriers to the little bit that we store.
2 locked barriers in the extra room. This one.
No, I mean this door and the safe door itself.
So Lisa, right now we have 1 person in this area. 3 guests, 1 person. 3 stations, I guess. 3 something.
I used to have a in the closet, which is probably not completely legal either, but.
So lots of storage. Storage here, storage there. Someone told me the other day that you guys had mailboxes down here. And which one's the bathroom that's supposed to be your trash or counter?
That one.
I said, did you ever
I think the boys is bigger.
Yeah, they're both very big.
To be 1 station down.
Yeah, we always used to joke because we were all women that we could use one of them for an office and then all use one restroom.
I think it has a urinal.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are, I guess at the time they were making sure they were doing campus sensitive, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And they made sure they had adequate space.
So,
What's all this visit about?
we're just doing a tour of the campus store. Learning everything Lisa knows. Those are cabinets that I'm trying to remember what we had in there. Yeah, decorations. This is
Studio, more custodial and shared. And then that's the electrical. Mechanical. This is what Ben had used, and you still have stuff in there, correct?
The tents, the canopies.
So this was designed to be 2 offices?
Well, this door was never there. It was, we came through here, and then there was the pass-through, and last person I know that was in there was Joan Story. But you were in there as long as I can remember.
And Ben,
Oh, that's yeah.
So when you were here, Catherine, I just remember you there. What was here?
testing.
Testing. Okay. So this is where compass testing was. And then when Vint was there, this was his storage. Joan did a little bit of, I can remember her office was there, but she was doing something there. And then Vint had that as storage too. Is it legal office?
Yeah, we got this permitted and everything. We didn't do anything illegal. Putting the door in.
Electrical room. It controls the electrical.
And the computer stuff. I mean, every building has mechanical rooms.
Right. This one to the sides. Wow.
So there's electrical panels. Here's data
You know,
stuff.
my mind is thinking about how much square footage we have for a number of students. So I'm looking for things. This is storage too now? This is yours? Who's using this as storage?
Me.
This is your storage. Where our extra tents are?
All 3
All 3 are in here.
are now in here.
So why do we buy 3 tents? Do you know, Lisa?
And the one that's not in a bag, there is a bag, I think, but that's the one that Alex used to use. It's on campus, so
So
the
just so
light's
we know,
there.
we have 3 tents.
Yeah, I didn't know.
This past week, David Israelovich wanted to know where we got our tent from and how much it cost, and Nancy did.
So I looked up the IPR, and there was 3.
It says we have 3 tents. I'm like,
But we only have weights for 2.
and I said, do we really have 3 tents?
So I had to go
$900
searching.
each? $900 each?
1,000
$1,000 each. So,
with the shipping.
so if we have an event, it's a free tent event. We have 3 tents.
Well, we used 2 of them in the past. I don't remember
Yeah.
using 2 of them, but I think that's because there's only 2 that have
2
the
sets of
weight.
weights. We'd have to get another set of weights to do another outdoor.
And that anomalous absorption pump, see?
Yeah,
The anomalous absorption pump is like Dr. Casales and I did.
Pay for the 3 tents.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they're actually a little cheaper now than they were then.
Oh, are they? What are they now?
Like $8.50.
Okay.
Well, they were on sale.
It's warm enough to turn that. You're right in it.
So we
Always warm. So just the status of the front creates challenges as it relates to utilities and utility points. There is a man cover right over there. There is a line that cuts across Mesa Field that supplies the water suppression for Building 5. When we put in Building 8, we had to cut through the parking lot. So there's a lot of utility stuff going on in the front part. Some of it's identified, some of it's not identified.
the county would be the source.
County, the public schools, and our records collectively.
So the orange posts that are supposedly protecting the curb and the thing, those are ours. We put those
Those are
up.
ours, and we're not necessarily protecting the curbs, as we are trying to let people know that if they don't want to beat up their tires, they need to swing a little wider. And when they back up from here, my fear was that they would, depending on how fast they go right up onto the curb and crash into the sign.
Yeah, people used to back up into that all the time.
Mm-hmm. So they're not particularly attractive, but they're just to articulate. Now, if we ever reconfigure the front, that turn there should completely be changed.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. The thing I don't like about the orange thing is they make the tight turn about 6 inches tighter. But, you know.
Yeah, some people can't really turn at once.
Yeah.
But that's, it's like, but maybe those orange things help people realize that 2 people can't really turn at once.
They make you slow down.
They do.
Because you don't know what is there, if you don't know what's there.
We have looked into getting speed bumps, which have been requested by the students, and you can get them and apply them, but we kind of let the issue die just because we really didn't have money. I think you can get them for less than $1,500.
And the problem is, the ones at the middle school anyway, the snowplows take them out every winter.
Bingo. So what picture is it?
Snowplows. Every winter,
Yeah.
those things get torn up.
So Lisa, we're up here looking at signs again. So this is the same sign on both sides, correct?
Yeah.
Which is important because a lot of people stand right there and look at that and then they go like this.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually good that it's consistent.
Yeah.
Now, human standards do not want you to apply signs to the wall. They would rather see them freestanding.
But,
So you
but
have to,
since they're there,
since they were there,
they're grandfathered in. So I'm starting to call them the green signs and the map signs. And I may be overly simplistic. And it may be because the county right now is doing this wayfinding project that I'm thinking about it. But that's the 2 types of signs we have, right? The green signs and the map signs?
that's the only 2 I can think of. We looked at probably some signage for EMS, and that's when we got that $5,000 price tag. And
Yeah.
we decided that's just too much.
Yeah. Okay. And the map signs, Nancy, did you redo these?
No, just the bottom. We just changed the key.
So it must be getting water or something inside of it.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening? And where did we get those? You know?
UNM sign shop.
Okay.
We could probably print them ourselves now.
With the big
That's
printer?
true, yeah.
Yeah, but they'll leak again. It's the frame that's leaking.
Oh, are they plastic?
Well, I think it's plexiglass, but
See right here, this is not.
I mean,
But the actual sign, I think, is plastic.
Yeah.
It's not paper.
So when we redo the signs, Lisa, like we redid that one, that was when we got somebody else to redo it, correct?
yeah, we have the gentleman Chimayo did those.
Because I'm looking at this one, and clearly we tried to get Tudor Center off, but not very successfully.
Well, it was on there for years before we took it off,
Yeah.
and
So we just removed the black labels or something. And
well,
again, I think the legends have to be done flexibly.
I agree.
I mean, you could do the thing like the student government has done now, which is to buy those last enclosed cases where you unlock them and you change the content inside. If you want to get it. I guess we're going to jump to 7.
Let's jump in here. We're here. So tell me the story on the trash cans.
Those are the trash cans we picked up.
Yeah, I got an email from Cindy Leva saying that Bessie didn't think they were what we ordered, the wrong color.
Betsy said that the picture was much lighter.
It is. If you look at it on the internet, it's much lighter, like similar to the ones we have. So when they delivered it, we challenged them, and then of course they sent us a full-blown mock-up of the colors, and this is exactly the color. So we can't return them based on color. So now we've gone through and decided where we will put these so that a similar color will be on the interior.
Okay.
The exterior will have, so it may not be as obvious to some. We could potentially we could paint either one of them to match.
Yeah.
But that's the first plan, is just to place the similar ones in the interior and the other version, the beige ones on the exterior. They all have the red lids. So probably in the next 2 weeks they'll get deployed.
Okay, the story of the sculpture and the tiles.
Well, there's 2 in here. This is called some kind of a waterfall. Again, it's on the art inventory. This is Things on a Stick. Again, this public art when this building was built.
And then the names is one of our classes. Roger Street's classes.
That I don't know, but one of them.
Look, that's Sifan, who's still doing ceramics.
Oh, they all just keep
And this is another piece of public art, and it's on the list, but I couldn't tell you the history about it.
That is there on the list too, huh?
It is. Now, before I got here,
Yeah, it does seem to be broken.
This is all broken.
Yeah.
Probably need to get it repaired.
right there too.
Okay, and you said before you got here?
before I got here, and probably 2 or 3 years before I was here, they had a water main burst under the breezeway, and the water flew into the underground basement area, crawl space underneath, and flooded in here. And then the road shows coming.
It was a mess.
In the downstairs, the basement.
got filled. Yeah.
So when I first started, that was the tutor center. With that being the open space for students. Is that what it was when it was first built?
Yes. So before that, the tutor center had been in building 2, and this was done before that building 2 was remodeled, and it was the little office. The tutor center was the little office on the side of the one classroom. It's about the size of the office that we just converted from the photo lab. So it was that was the size of the space.
And so the discussion has been making this the community area, so that when a community member comes, not a traditional student, but they can access ABE, ESL, SBDC, community, and everything. I would say that, pretend like Lisa was still here. Lisa was community ed, but she was the first point of contact for everybody that walked into the building. So if you think about first point of contact,
Well, we talked about a person right here.
if you had a person right here, that was one of the discussions, have a person
And
here
you
that
could
could
get
count people.
a flexible workstation that would be high enough that obviously they would feel closed, but it would clearly be the first point of contact for people coming down the stairs or people coming in the door.
And then you could have a couple of chairs to say, please wait, and then Joe or Gabe or whoever would come get them. But again, it's getting the space and getting the people. But it's something to think about in the future.
So we put the wall up between what used to be sort of indented offices and made complete offices. And we did it to code and everything. We did it legally. So now have community ed separated from potentially 3 classrooms.
So there used to be a door from the tutor center that went into the hall.
No, it was just an open.
It was open, so there wasn't a wall. So this was just like an alcove here.
Okay.
So this whole wall.
Oh, this was open.
Lisa's sharing all her wisdom.
I was walking in
This way.
Yeah, there was a door here that went into the office.
Okay.
So, I call this the showcase room because of the
Windows.
Yeah, and I used to think of let's make a deal and showcase number 1, number 2. But after the training we had for active shooter, the recommendation was to give them the ability to close blinds. So we did that. And lock doors, that was something else we did, is make sure every door can be locked from the inside should the need be. And then Gabe asked if we could convert this into a computer lab without investing, new money. So these are kind of hand-me-down. You can see that the hand-me-down chairs, the hand-me-down computers. Again, it doesn't get used as much, but this is a print management station. So that's what I mean, like, just having more places isn't necessarily good.
And this is not designated space, is it? So if Kate wanted to have a class in here, you could schedule it, working with Gabe and everybody else. This would be the classroom.
I forget about this.
This is a big bathroom too.
Was for this, why it was left wide with a couple of shelves. Oh, that's right. They had that.
Those big booths. Hi.
Say that again?
They were doing testing here. They had the
Soundproof booth where you
in this area.
It was like a dome that came out. It was hard plastic, black.
Did theirs go away?
Oh yeah.
They didn't last.
The photo booths that you could think of that only with a hard surface in a semicircle.
And who was doing it? What type of testing?
ESL.
Yes.
ESL.
ESL testing was done there. Okay. So most of you know that when I go to capital projects, they look at square footage per number of FTE students, and ours is ridiculously high. And part of it is we've got a lot of spaces like this that aren't bad spaces, but they're not helping us in terms of getting more students. So thinking of ways we can better utilize the spaces.
Now, we had talked with Ted Lopez. Ted Lopez really wanted a cubicle built right here to allow the second person in his office, and we explored it. There's no ventilation in there, so
What are y'all doing down here?
it would have required both HVAC and electrical rewiring.
Yeah, here.
Plus, we're not sure. To close it off. Right, to close it off. We're not sure. So at that point, we stopped exploring it, but
You could still do like cubes that don't.
cubicles
Ceiling, right?
technically
Yeah.
the ceiling, yeah.
What is that doing?
It goes right into the
It
tutor
goes
center.
right into there, so it's just
Now, why it was designed that way, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to know. But again, we've got the lovely green chairs and we've got a chess table there. And you?
Well, ABE had individuals who I would say borderline, well, it wasn't just ABE, it was Tutor Center and ABE where they were hoarders. And the Tutor Center hoarding has ended. Hans came in and purged an enormous amount of stuff. ABE still has their piles, but not nearly as bad as with Michelle and Marlene. But they still are there. So, chessboard, they've got these desk tables, which they put puzzles on, which, we're fine. But at some point, it gets totally cluttered.
The lighting's not very...
No, and what happens in this building is, because the HVAC is so, for a new building, I'm not sure I'll ever understand why they arrived at what they did. First of all, it's on swamp cooler, so we know that's bad for the books. Second of all, the downstairs stays relatively cool just because of cool air sinks. But upstairs never really gets all that cool. Conversely, the heat is radiant heat in this part, which means the library gets boiling hot in this area. Yeah. So the HVAC for this,
mechanical for this building really needs to be totally redone. And
Isn't that in one of the bond things?
it's got to be one of the highest priorities, unless we choose to peel it off and make it a private fundraising window, which is another option. Yeah. But you can see there is ductwork between the two floors, but whether it be adequate to put in the heat pump kind of the transitional systems, only HVAC.
Is this the most egregious example on campus of the heating versus cooling? Does this area suffer more than any other area?
Using the word suffer, yes. Because even if we could do what each person wanted, I don't think the system could actually do it. But I will remember in my early days, the fight between upstairs and downstairs was passionate. It's not passionate. The personalities are such that they're nice, there's limitations, and you can't do that. It was just terribly designed. And it could have been one of these value engineering things where they had higher expectations than they had settled.
So I may be wrong, but I think the bookstore was right there, I think.
What is there for a short time?
That's when I started.
Miss Ann. Miss Ann is in there. So, Gabe has done a really good job of getting these classrooms a little bit cleared out, but there's still just stuff everywhere. You know, I don't know, if it makes people more comfortable, especially the other ESL students, that's fine with me, but it's just overloaded stuff.
So again, that's very non-designated schools. So the reason I ask is my first year here, and we weren't doing online classes, but I taught, maybe the first 2 years, I taught a class over at the apartments. I was scheduled for a class at the high school that got canceled. I taught a class in the tutor center room, and I taught a class in that conference room there. So we used to do classes down here quite a bit. I don't know that we do anymore.
Do those lights stop blinking like that when you warm up?
Looks like that one. You might want to, I know that sometimes color around campus is an issue, but you'd be surprised how many colors we have. You may or may not notice when we were in building 2, it's yellow and greens, or in here it's purples and mauves. Most of the campus is in the white with the blue and the sage, but upstairs in the library, it's very, very vibrant colors, and that's when it gets to be a challenge to keep a stock of either repair paint or carpet scraps or vinyl trim, and all that stuff. All the door jambs are painted a different color. So trying to limit the number of canvases is great. Here's one here. It's a sink with a countertop. The next one is it Joe? Yeah. This actually is the staircase that goes up to the library or down to the basement as an ulterior exit.
And that's where we've had some mold
remediation.
Mold remediation.
This is Alita's. It was always used as a storage room by ABE, but they got their stuff out of there.
At one point, it was an office. When Jennifer McCurley was the director of ABE, this is where her office was.
And Alita said she had been in there as an office before as well, many years ago.
So ABE director, when Jennifer was the director, it would have been much like a Michelle Worley position. Okay. So who uses this room now?
So this room was actually intended to be the advisory board meeting room.
The board meeting room, I'd heard that before.
Now, that big old oblong oval shape.
They did have a nicer table now.
It's not nice anymore.
It was nice when it was new.
Where is it now?
It's gone. It wasn't an oval. It was whatever the shape of an oval, like an eyeball.
with flat ends.
With flat ends.
So it kind of bowed and it had flat ends. It had a huge, massive base. But it was made with veneers, and most of the side pieces had been peeled off. So you saw particle board underneath. So I thought about getting it refinished, and I said no. And then we got this donated from Ted Trujillo at SBD Center. He didn't need this this conference table, so he gave it to us. Gabe said he would use this a whole lot more if we invested in better lights. So Pueblo came in and put in these 4 LEDs, which tremendously improved the space.
And we used to have classes regular.
Like I said, I taught there here. I don't remember which table it was. It was a table.
Yeah, it was before we got the rest of
And
the buildings done.
these classrooms down here are nice and cool in the summer.
They are.
Jason, should we go this way out to the storage or go the other way? I wouldn't go through that now. Okay.
I mean, I can open if you want to take a peek.
I've seen it before. I don't know if you did. Catherine, have you seen it?
I've seen it.
You see it, Nancy?
Is there an alarm for real? No, I guess not.
So what happens is that goes to the basement, which we'll go through another way. That goes upstairs. You can get to the library if you look. Out there's a door that goes outside behind, kind of behind my office. But when we have some of the water problems, they take the walls in that area. I'm smiling because I don't know if Ann goes to the legislative session, but she's got all 3 of our legislators right there, which is not a bad idea in legislative session to have. Sure, at some point they've been giving us the tour. I know, you're still doing the slideshows for Ken?
Yes.
So get a picture of her by yourself.
Okay.
Did you break out or dress it that way or not?
I can show you the picture. I did. I looked good, didn't I? And Catherine's the one that told me where to go to shop for dresses. So if you need shopping advice, that's another skill that Catherine has.
That's my go-to one page. What's kind of nice about this building that we really have not been able to do, with the exception of Wallace Hall, is some architecture. This area with the 4 concrete walls, with the different textures, whether you like it or not, it's outside the traditional box. And, you know, colleges are known for having architectural statements. I do like it. I love it.
Yeah.
We don't utilize it though. No. So remember we were talking about getting the graduates together and taking pictures like they did on that campus and saying where. This is not an area that our graduates can come in. But I'm guessing they'll take a picture.
No,
I'm guessing
Lang.
this isn't a bad picture with that behind us.
Move back some more. So see where the light's hitting you. You're still, that's speckly, so that's not good light.
Yeah,
If you had a light to point at it.
Bring my hand, though.
That's, yeah, you could. Mm-hmm.
So this tile thing is called Ladder Shadow Light. And it was commissioned and built in 96.
Article cases.
And if you have a project that
Generates less than 50,000 in art public places, then you are confined to buying art from a catalog that the state publishes. If you have 50,000 or more, then you can get in the queue for a commissioned piece. They only do a few a year, so you may not be selected. But that's how we got the mural in front of Wallace Hall. We did not have that amount of money, so we petitioned to. They have people who never spend their art in public places, so they keep a pool, and if you petition for it, they'll give you a grant, which is what I did. And so we got a grant for that piece, which allowed us to then have commissioned art. So the other one that, I don't know if this one was commissioned. Does it say?
It says commissioned.
Okay. I think the lady statue in the Kiva was commissioned. I'm not sure, but I think so.
I've got a file on that. Found it in Cedric's stuff. Cedric was on the committee. They had 4 or 5 different artists French statues.
Then that sounds like it was.
So when we were, there was a while then there was like 4 or 5 statues, and then somebody picked one.
I think that there was a boat.
There was a boat, and there was a boat, and then the extra statues
Or
were
not, because it sounds like it was their stock that they brought here. Whereas, at least with the mural, we told them we wanted a STEM piece of art on the exterior of the building. So they really did do something that we asked here. Okay, I'll go in here.
so it's cool in here, right?
Yeah, it is, but that's how you live these Dennis usually has a collection along the wall, but he has right now just the 2 pieces of feature. So he has something on display.
So when we think about space that's not utilized, I find that these rooms down back here are not utilized very much. Encourage students because you've got a whiteboard, you've got natural light, you've got nice space, and I just don't think they're utilized very much.
We've got 3 rooms.
Yeah, you've got 3 of them.
The other thing is you can tell in this building it was built so that it would have some capacity to grow, so that the stacks could in fact go another 4 feet or 3 feet out if you had the volume. You would probably have to reconfigure some of this for traffic. But, it's supposed to last for some time to go. You could also put more stacks here.
The library was always in this area, but I don't remember what it looked like before they revamped it. I just can't remember. The library was always here. It wasn't this big, but it was always at this end of the building, so there was something here. Linda Shepard was the librarian. She probably would.
So they added to this building?
And they redid it.
They might have redone it.
They redid it. The whole thing completely.
2 additions here?
No, it was all done at once. Okay. But all of this in the downstairs building.
So the other challenge that we keep talking about is the loft.
Yeah.
So if you look at the loft, we could enclose it and make it classrooms, we can enclose it and make it offices. It does not have elevator access, correct?
No, it does.
It does have elevator access, okay. What's the other issue with it?
Well, HVAC.
HVAC would be huge, that's the issue.
Well, 2 things. HVAC. Well, we'll go up there, and then exterior egress.
Exterior egress. Okay. So you've been in the loft before?
No, yes, I've walked up there. I was just in the elevator, I haven't been up to that.
There before. Get to learn.
Yeah, 5 degrees temperature. So, and then you can start to see all the colors that are in the library that aren't over on something else. Which is, fun. These are the models from I didn't notice that. These are the models that were presented when we had our commission piece for the mural.
So these are the choices.
So this was one. Now it's all supposed to be STEM based. So obviously the one we selected. Another one. We were afraid the neighborhood kids would start swinging on this one. This was supposed to be an interactive where you would come up to a panel and then either do a touch screen or something and it would get displayed on there. It was a little too far out there for us to get our arms around it.
Well, the other thing is if you're doing something that's high tech, to do it on something that looks like hardwood,
Yeah.
it was a disconnect for me.
And then this one was supposed to be fabric swatches that were brought in by the community, and everybody would have a panel or we would select them. The problem with that is the gentleman had not worked with textiles and knows after about 6 months in the sun they're all going to look the same because they're all going to fade out.
Yeah, there's stuff that speaks to
No.
But you know, it makes me think of the one at Peak. It's in front that the water dribbles down.
It's supposed to be lit from behind. So at nighttime, it would be illumination of colors coming out.
Well, that would have been nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting concept.
They have something like that at Taos. I wonder if it's the same artist.
So this would have to be the exterior egress, which means we would have to have some kind of staircase that would lead down to right now where the loading dock is. This is a sloped ceiling, so as far as creating some ductwork up here, we have a challenge. We also don't want to lose a little bit of natural light, so if anything, we would probably have glass panels that would go up. So, I mean, I think it's doable, but you'd really have to get input from the architect.
And the exterior egress is required.
Well, that's basically required now. We already get dinged on it from the safety, but it was a code when they built the building.
We love the utilization of green space. I don't see anything. You got to make it easy for students to see. Testing 7?
Oh, we're testing center now.
We don't have.
Oh, okay. And the testing center would be used for what?
All kinds of things. We had talked about,
Like LSATs and
Online exam offering for other schools, for us.
EMS testing.
EMS testing.
But here's the elevator that, if we were to use this, we would have to open this up and then limit people from climbing on it. But there would be an elevator up to this level. This is how you get up to the boiler.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
is that the
Ben
little
climbed up
tower?
on top.
Who did?
When Ben climbed up on top to get what I call the heart picture, probably. Oh, wow.
Well, somebody needs to hold the door, but this is where the railing got handed.
Soft. What is the substance here? You feel it? Is it good?
Yeah.
It's a manufactured roll stuff that they glue down.
This is what the roof of my duplex was. Something like this.
Okay. I can't remember the show. Detective Star Trek was just a white show. And the other day, he just smoked cigars and looked out over the.
Oh, it was a law.
Yeah.
Law and
What was
order.
that show?
Not law and order,
So that's what you do. So you get some chairs out here at the end of the day.
Well, that chair's not.
Yeah, we're not worried about that one. Get some chairs out here at the end of the day.
Now this is
Watch
also
the traffic going home.
Look at the beauty of the mountain.
This is also the keep in mind. If you high school kids climb up on the roof, get in this door, monkey around the library.
They did what now?
They climbed up on the roof.
Externally.
Got in for whatever reason. They got on the library and they broke one of those displays. And the alarm went off. Probably about 4 summers ago, 5 summers ago.
And I have this big screen. That was break-ins. That was that same thing.
So when they trash the hilltop.
Yeah.
Or climb down one
To go over there for that.
one way or the other. He went up there and climbed down that way. So the panel that's off there, does it matter?
I'm not aware that it's off. I will let Mitzi know. No, I don't think it matters, but it probably should be.
You wouldn't want hail driving in there.
Thank you, Kay. Yeah, there's no need for us to call it the boiler. But that is the boiler that blows out in the winter time that we have to go up there and get serviced so that they have heat.
So we know that this is locked even though it turns? Oh yeah, it is. Okay.
So tell me again with this.
You want to go down it?
No, I just want to know.
I'm fine doing the steps, but I could push the button and go all the way down.
You could, yes.
But if I was down, could I push the button and come all the
I
way?
think you can come all the way to this.
Okay. Here's our chairs when we go out with our cigars. We may want to dust them differently. Thank you, Lisa. So like these people who don't want to be off. You're right, you have to do this. Take that. Walk off the.
This could be a
Well, then we have a place for the chairs, because these are used.
So if you pick the middle or some in there. So there's a lot of space there. Hey Joe, I'm taking the tour.
This is now for ID cards in here.
You're going to get a new ID card made, Lisa?
A new one?
How about the retiree ID card? So you can still do
Oh,
all
I
this
didn't know that
stuff?
was an option.
No?
I think this is Joe's office.
You still get discounts for things every time?
Maybe we should do it. We have to do it before, do I have to do it before the end of the week though? Dennis's office, this is their storage.
Hey, is this where you got the visa for me?
Yes.
Did you get it or did you guys get it?
Yeah, Joe got it. I mean, this was locked for the time.
That's what you do. What used to be here? There was something else here for about 3 to 5 years ago.
Maybe instead of maybe 3 rooms, they had 2 rooms, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, there's more linear in here.
Does this get used? I get a picture of the two of you.
One last shot.
Except that I agreed to the tour, I didn't agree to the other stuff.
You just have to promise you don't use them.
I probably won't,
You're
but
gonna go and start introducing those red chairs all over the place.
Yeah,
That's a
here we
little easier. I don't know if you know, but Bill Massengale refinished all the tables that go with these chairs.
Where are the tables?
Well, we'll stumble across one.
Okay, we'll stumble across one. The cabinet, I can go to
Here's one that you finished.
Here's one outside my office.
Those are nicer chairs. Aren't they?
I mean, there's still that square.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're a little more modern.
Probably haven't been selected as much. Okay, so we've done 7. Now, do you want to go to? Well, I need to get somebody to undo the alarm.
Why don't we just do the ones on the top level? We're at 11:15, level 20. Here's Koshi again. We spend a lot of time on our campus.
I saw him yesterday too.
He stood out here and talked to Susan Shower for, you know when I came down to your office, Lisa? Yesterday around 4:15? Koshi was talking to Susan Shower. When I left Lisa's office about 5:30, they were still talking.
Oh.
So,
You and Catherine can give a little history on the courtyard. I don't know exactly when the courtyard came in and when they bricked it.
The courtyard was this way when I started
For a long
in
time.
the
87.
Kiva was always here?
Yeah.
So the only thing I have seen is I have seen pictures of the Kivas without the tree.
Well, the trees, there were 3 trees.
Yeah.
And they were planted, 3, there were 3. They were planted in memory of students that were killed during the year.
students?
Students.
And
And
an instructor. One was for
one instructor, two students.
Same year?
Close, not exactly the same.
Oh,
Two of the trees
I wouldn't.
died.
That one needs to get fixed. It leans, so I wouldn't lean on it.
that one.
Well, I didn't know if the kiva was put in when they started to build these three out. Or you
It
don't
was
know.
here when I started
Okay.
in '87, so I assume they did it all at the same time.
So anyway, only one survived, and we've talked about putting more in here, but really, kiva's gathering place. The more trees you put in the center, the less your visibility is. So I'm not sure. You know, we're open to ideas, but.
So when Carlos did the GEO bond request for what ended up being Wallace Hall, he wanted to enclose this and make it a lecture hall kind of
What
thing.
was it going to be?
It was going to be a lecture hall.
Just one large lecture hall?
One big one.
And I think I told you.
Restrooms
with
and everything else?
No, it was really more of just a tent covering. It was a pretty Spartan thing. But you may remember I told you we had a bundle. This kiva, we had a bundle. There were 3 projects, a severance and 2 geobonds, to have enough money to do flow science in Wallace Hall. And we had to get permission to change the scope. But yeah, this was, one of them was to cover the kiva, and written in there was for graduation services, which was not a compelling argument.
It wouldn't work anymore either.
It wouldn't.
No.
Plus, it would spoil the intent of the kiva.
We need some green on campus. We don't have a lot. We've got a lot of sidewalk already.
So one of the student government people, the one who just graduated in RNA, yeah.
Pocatero?
No. But she said she'd love to see a fountain out there.
You know what
And I thought, if you could get water out there, then Betsy wouldn't have to drag the hose over too.
If the tree wasn't there, and we can't do anything about the tree, it'd be nice to be able to build like an open porch or even a slanted roof like over at the pond. And you could still do
Like their stage, you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, those are all ideas. You're going to be faced with some things here with the kiva in the next 5 years. Probably in the next 10 years, almost all these trees will die. That one has died. This is the next one that'll go. It's already started to sprout from the center here. Mm-hmm. You can see the deadness at the top. The problem with these planters is that they pour base. So about 6 feet down, it's another layer of concrete. There's no more room for the roots. And that's going to happen with all of these trees that are
When they planted the trees.
so that's what I have with all. It's not the end of the world. We obviously can put desert plants in that one. But
And that looks nice.
you're going to be faced with the same
The
challenge.
shade is nice though,
Well,
too.
you'll lose the shade, and so that may drive some other kind of things. Now, one thing that Vigil wanted is if he was going to come and fix this mural, he wanted a 4-foot overhang on both sides to protect it in the future.
Say that I blame him.
So that might be a way to introduce shade if you lose the trees. But the trees would probably only have about 10 more years on it.
So once they die, do you think you could take the bottom out, the concrete bottom?
That was a big project.
When we took
Yeah.
the tree out in front of Wallace Hall, the contractor just about killed us because he did not bid that in his project. So I'm going to guess that cost him about $20,000 or $25,000 to take
Wow.
the tree out. So yeah, you can take the trees out, but it will be expensive.
What do they call those porches that just have like these
Pergolas?
like a pergola that overhangs over the edge of the concrete? Would you still designate it as sort of a sitting space? Maybe, but provide shade still?
fine.
And those would be pretty
Absolutely.
because then they wouldn't distract from the buildings.
That would be
Pergolas
nice.
are maintenance because most of them are built with wood. But if you could find some other product that would...
There are some that I see made out of
Like T-Vac?
aluminum. I saw some.
Oh,
that
they'd be hot, though.
Well, no, the aluminum that I saw, it was on a deck, and it was cool to walk on.
So anyway, did we walk all the way in one?
Yeah,
We did.
Okay.
We didn't go down the hallway.
We just pointed.
Well, the only thing I wanted to point out in one is that HVAC is about ready to pump out. We're lucky that it's up and running this summer. But to me, that's the next one that's going to go. And
Well, and there was one that went the week that everybody was gone.
Six.
Betsy showed me a picture of it.
Six, it burned
yeah.
up.
Could you send me the picture?
I don't have it. Betsy had it
Yeah, she has it.
on her phone.
Give me the picture. Lisa, if you could send that picture to Toddy and I. Remember I told you she was wanting a picture?
Yeah.
It's not that compelling.
No, it is.
All you
but
can see is burned. It's black.
it's just the motor's burned up, you know. It just means we used every ounce of life in it.
Well, I've got to convince them to give us some more money. So.
Yeah.
It's less down.
Lisa, how about the trees over there? Is that concrete underneath, or is that good?
No, those were trees that were here for the Mesa Complex. Those are technically LAPS trees. They're not our trees. Although we've been grooming them and taking care of them. The last tree guy that said the aspens are over dense, and you can see some of the aspens, they're not our trees. So all we can do is tell LAPS this tree is dead. We got them to remove one dead tree that was theirs, but unless we ask for it, they're not going to come and do anything.
So Lisa and I will be doing a modified tour tomorrow with Maria from one of the capital projects from Metro West area. One of the things that we do have the money is to fix that ugly crack.
Yeah, that's a passive solar design that was built in all four of these buildings that never worked. It never flowed correctly. And the actual effect is the opposite of what they intended. It retained hot air in the summer, and it let the cold air escape in the winter. So what we did as a solution was to get these metallic panels that go on top of the window. They blow insulation into the space. They seal off the flow that was supposed to be there. So it looks cosmetically better, and you've got the
And the
efficiency.
HVAC looks better too, then.
Well, yeah, I tried to bring them here and let them all test. Now, once they decide what chair it will be, in this case, two of them will be here, 'cause there's two computer terminals. So whichever one gets picked, it doesn't matter to me. And then we'll probably take that art down and do a vinyl signage above that says Student Management Station. So it brands the area. And we'll do that every place where there's, so that it'll be easy to identify, but not every place is linear like this. Some are very tight, so it might be more boxy, but we'll have to, the signage will have to come afterwards.
That patio chair looks orange in here.
It does.
For me right now, there's no doubt it's that one.
Okay, if you sit in that one, you'll feel like you're a kid in grammar school. That's just the highest setting, and it's extremely low. So
Nancy,
that's
who's
the drawback.
person?
Yeah, this was comfortable when I tried them in the other room.
Like a kid in grammar school?
Yeah,
It's not as comfortable on my back.
So is this in the recruit management station? So that color scheme is just, I think that's almost the reason you exclude that one.
And that one is too slidey. Like
And the problem with this one is it does not roll when you're not sitting in it. So as far as moving it, it's you're dragging it. The wheels are not engaged. But if you sit in it and you do the Flintstones, you're fine.
That's interesting.
Yeah. This is IKEA.
They don't have one like this that's just a little bit bigger.
No, we have tried.
That one's definitely the lower maintenance. That
It is.
little stain.
Those two, all I'm doing right now is visual, and I know that one. Those two aren't going to work, so we're down to these two.
Being a big person, I see a chair like that and I feel like, is it sturdy enough for me to sit down on a bunch of
We
times?
haven't checked the weight on all of them. I think they have a capacity of either 275 or over 300.
Okay, so that'll get most of our people, if not all.
It should.
And that's the highest it will go.
It doesn't bother me. I thought it would. We'll sit in that one and we'll switch chairs. This one is the one that you want to slide. You guys are next.
I know which one I like.
Yeah. The IKEA one's the cheapest. That gives it any selling points.
This one, but they can't be stacked, which I guess none of these can be stacked.
You don't think it's the most comfortable?
I didn't notice a significant difference. I just think coming in, I'm just going to do
I like
say,
the color of that one.
coming in. That one, because of the red and black, just fits with the tables that we just bought.
Now, we are getting paw prints. Decals that will go with the perimeter down here, just with the paw prints.
What
Just to add
size?
another color.
So I looked at those at the bookstore last week. They didn't. Betsy was looking even smaller. I actually have a picture.
Well, somebody's picking them up, so
This one will drive
she's
you crazy.
spending $50
It will.
on decals.
With it not moving.
Because it doesn't move.
No, that just doesn't happen.
Oh, I know
Is she-
that a student
Is she getting the red?
is never going to push that back
That's
in.
what's in the bookstore. And I put the pen next
With
to
the
it for
pin next
sizing.
to you so you can see how small they are. Yeah.
And then the next one is more like that size.
It's just a decorative, again, to help brand the areas. So, well, whatever the decision happens, we'll order.
So funny because we gave it to the students to pick and they picked that one.
They think we had it.
But seeing that one next to the red there, it just...
orange.
It looks totally orange.
It looks like we
That's the best red, but that one I just feel like slides right off.
Anyway, so classroom of the 21st century. Or something like that.
Yeah. Well, community ed uses it. SBDC uses it.
They had a couple of classes in here. Use it for training.
Her printer come in? I see the ink down there. Okay.
I've never seen the printing board used.
I tried to use it, but it's not as easy to use as the smartboard is, and so I gave up on it. So this room was the only computer lab we had for a long time.
I'm sorry, say again.
This was the only computer lab we had for a long time.
Well, yeah, and it used to be that kind of funky U-shaped.
Well, and before that it was just rows.
Yeah. But we would, when Dr. Page got that board donated, we actually broke up the concrete, put a track in the concrete to give more connectivity in this room. And then we recarpeted it with the same carpet that we used in Walls Hall and Building 6 renovation. So that we'd start to bring that stuff, those same colors into the rest of the campus.
It's just all one carpenters. It's squares.
Squares.
That's good, yeah.
That's just the storage room and servers to the left. This building and Building 4 have the best HVAC system on campus, newest and best. And not only is it a new system, but all the ductwork's been checked and reconfigured as needed. So these are the two buildings that probably should last us another 25 years from that perspective. This obviously has not gotten the LED lighting, and there's too much stuff. It's just cool.
So what are those other boards over there?
Those two TVs were supposed to be the red.
Sorry.
Can I get your attention?
Yep.
So, what is this building? The whiteboard as if it was going to be the office.
Is this your stuff back here in the corner? Is this your stuff back in the corner? This
Construction technology stuff, and yeah, there's some crap we can definitely out there.
The whiteboard deal, was their purpose or any idea?
Oh, it's just been in there since forever.
So, it was probably just with the computer and going back to end.
Yeah, that's what my office.
That was your office? Oh, wait.
The
This-
computer, yeah, the student.
3.
That was your office?
And that's what it was used for back in the very beginning.
See, that's what, it almost looks like an office, because you've got a window and a whiteboard, but you don't have a door.
Okay. And then over there, that room, before you get to...
No, that used to be the printer. There used to be
Well,
a
it clearly
monster
says
line
printer.
printer dot matrix thing in there. Right now it's more equipment storage.
So, I remember the printer that was in visual media, art, media, and tech.
There was a dot matrix printer with the paper stuff on the board.
Now, we've made investments in that back room for it to stay as a server. And it's got additional HVAC to maintain the temperature. And obviously across the way, we've dedicated that science lab and the room next to it storage. So those are dedicated as is. The only thing that we've talked about in here is the restrooms. And I bet she knows this. But because they're both small and tight, neither one of them are ADA. So there's discussion about would we lose and just make one, make it ADA and make it whatever, not sex, what's it called? Neutral.
So they're next to each other? Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
actually put
that
a
makes
door
sense.
facing forward so it would egress, the ADA egress would be easier.
And then you could actually close this area. It could be part of it. Gives you more.
No, that's a mechanical.
Oh. So where's the other? Oh, back to back. Got it.
The other thing is there is a custodial closet next to it. Potentially you could take that one out and then make one of them bigger. Those are obviously ideas for the future.
I used to think Don Davis was our most significant one, but we have this.
She's just pointing out the janitor closet next to there would be another potential to, enlarge this restroom for the ADA.
But you do, I don't know what the egress is.
Well, and the other one was to do the back-to-back and then put a door in the front. Here.
Of course they did. The only thing going through it really right now is the lawn. So, yeah, I suppose we could just cap those.
We have no office space for faculty. We've got storage here and storage there. Well, that's it. We need to have the project. I like knowing how vibrant that used to be.
So this is one direction you could go with the signage. There's these encapsulated glass containers that are watertight, which student government chose to go. As far as signage, legends that give you some flexibility. They don't have to be that big. You have something that's more, linear.
So the tricky part, though, is we're talking about grandfathered signs on buildings and grandfathered, I guess, the big black thing, so we don't have to.
But student government owns this thing.
But could we put the encapsulated over there on that building where Building 6 is?
Probably not right on the building. You'd have to get an exception.
That's what I was.
But on the
It would
ones
have to
that
be
are
freestanding and
where the
On the
campus maps
freestanding,
are,
we could.
And then we can print our own maps and update them as much as we want.
I think they renovated Trail 6. Yeah, so they renovated that building still has the same footprint it always had.
oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This one's a little different.
Another thing that's on the horizon as well is you're looking at planter boxes that are These benches have gone past their life expectancy.
These ones?
They're no
Yeah.
longer comfortable to sit in.
Well, they're, yeah.
And so instead of painting them again, it really ought to be bite
And
the
that's
bullet
what
and
one of our
replace them.
grants had talked about. What is this, Lisa?
That's the emergency exit from the science lab. Oh, it used to be controlled by that. Those are no longer feed into anything.
So you can close it off.
If we do these stuff, we'll just go on it.
Okay.
All right, we can go out this way.
That's what the building's going to look like.
That'll be on 2 and 4. Right now, we have these on 3 and 5. So all the buildings will look the same.
I like this red too.
I think this is a brick red. I don't know if that's...
What I had thought someday might be an interesting thing to consider was before they had decided to renovate Ashley Pond, I thought it might be nice to have one. You know how they used to have the music concerts and the Friday night concerts at different locations?
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice for us to propose this area up here, but that was before they decided to make a commitment on Ashley.
And before they made it a throwing area for the track, so it takes something away soon.
If those are not movable, those poles are not.
So this exterior wall needs attention as well as the glazing. These windows are in sad shape. I mean, they still work, but they're so water stained.
There's probably things we could do though to make this outdoor space look pretty
Usable?
Well, unfortunately, the park on that side is the public schools. So that side of the sidewalk belongs to them.
It's only the
and
sidewalk.
that's the park that's really poorly maintained. We could bring in gravel and cover this up, like in front of the library, and have some sporadic xeriscaping that would look very nice, but you're still going to have the torn up tarp and the stuff on that belongs to them. We're going to get these flagpoles fixed.
So is the flagpole belong to us?
If there was something out here that was shade, I wouldn't mind sitting out here and having my lunch.
Yeah.
Well, but I was looking for shade.
Well, that's what, even if we put a pergola up, I don't know, that might detract from the rest of the building.
Yeah. We have reservations for lunch.
Like noon?
11:45.
Okay. 11:30. 40.
11:40. So we should probably.
All right, so we've got 4, 5, and 6, and the maintenance.
So it's been fun. Back here to be recording.
I know. I used the 2 phones because I remembered that one at graduation was not recorded.
So I'm trying to think. I'm parked in the back. Does everybody need to go back to their office before?
Let me put these away.
I'm gonna drive on my own. I have to come back into gray area, so if it runs over.
Hello. So they just stopped the tour because they have a lunch reservation, which nobody mentioned, which means they'll probably be wanting to come back. Do you think we can still go at 12? Did we have a reservation or anything? Okay. I will. Okay. Can you get off at 12? Oh, okay. Okay. That's where they're all heading to. All the other people on the tour. So, okay, I'll see ya. Bye. Call Doris Jackson, mobile.
Calling Doris Jackson, mobile.
Hi, so they just suddenly stopped the tour because the rest of the people on the tour have a reservation at 11:45 for lunch. So I wondered if you can still do 12. Oh, okay. Pam's at the Art Center and she can go over whenever she wants, she said. Okay. Because I'm thinking they're going to pick up the tour again when they get back from lunch, so. Sorry about that. No, come and meet us. I'll call her and say 12:15. And then if you're a little bit later after that. If you have something you know you're going to get, we could place your order. Okay. See you then. Bye. Okay, Doris says 12:15 because she's not dressed yet. And she may be a little late after that. I hope so. I mean, I think they're going to come back here and start the tour again, but, interesting, huh? So we'll see who all is involved in that. Well, it's Cindy Rooney, the CEO, Catherine Vigil, who's the head of student services, and kind of Cindy's right-hand person a lot of the time. Lisa Wismer, who's retiring, and Kay Willerton, who's retiring. Kay's been here for 30 years, so she's got the history. We're going through all of the buildings and looking at space and getting history on what's been there, what's changed, what needs to be fixed. So, well, yeah, she wants, so the three of us will have had this whole tour. I'm recording it. Hopefully the recording is not going to be too soft so that we can go back and... Sure. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay. That's better for her. It's 5 minutes closer, right? So, okay. And 12:15. Okay. See you then. Bye. Hi. So how about golf course instead? It's a little closer, and also because the people here are all having lunch at the Blue Window. So Pam said, how come they didn't invite you? Okay, 12:15 golf course. Bye.
Mr. Appointment today.
So I'm going to try you again in a few minutes, or you can issue that at 1-800-443-2331, extension 4, and I look forward to hearing from you.
I couldn't. Hi, Anita. My consultant is Nicole White, and she left a message because I missed my appointment, but I couldn't understand her extension. 505-412-0219. Yes. Because I know last time I was calling her back, I thought she said extension 4, and that went to another Nicole. And so we had a little bit of this confusion of, well, you don't sound the same, and I don't think I know you. I've got a lot of Nancy's. But, okay. Mm-hmm. Hi, Nicole. I'm so sorry. So I got pulled into this thing at work. We're touring the whole campus and looking at every building, and I'm having to record it, da-da-da-da-da. So I couldn't pick up the phone because I was working. You have time now? Okay, great. I am 243.3, so I'm down a little bit, although I went up last week for a little bit and was like, oh man, why? So, yay. I couldn't remember what it was last time, but, I've walked, but other than that, I don't know, it's just maybe really sticking to the liquids last week with my, this and that, people dying, cats dying. I had wine like 3 nights, so I think that was probably where the weight came on. But I have, but I'm going vacationing on Saturday. So I told my sister I just have to eat small portions of stuff. And, I know how to plan meals, so it's not like fondue, which is something we almost always have when I go there. A little bit, yeah. Just to her house. She lives at Lake Tahoe. And, we'll probably be doing, I'm guessing, barbecue a lot. The kids are away, so. I go Saturday, I come back the following Wednesday, which also means if we had an appointment, I need to change that because I'll be in the, travel on Wednesday. Okay, and I thought of that a couple days ago. Yeah, that's the day I'm traveling, so I can't really count on being available. Thursday's good, or even I should be home by Wednesday late afternoon. Thursday's probably better though. Do you have a late afternoon Wednesday? Because I have to make an appointment with my boss for next week, and her schedule is really difficult. That's good. If I'm not home yet, I'll just pull over somewhere. But I think I get in at like 12:30, so it's a 2-hour trip home. I should be home. We will get out walking a lot. I hope to go to see fireworks. Hanging out. That's what we're going to be doing. Oh, I don't know. I mean, she hardly eats at all. She's the one that she only weighs like 150, and she's my height, so, yeah, she doesn't eat a lot. But she also doesn't eat regular meals, and so that's going to be the thing that I'll take some anything bars and, just to have them on hand. But, I can fix like a little cereal or an egg in the morning and just eat small portions of everything. So this past week too, I had I had breakfast out Sunday, and I had dinner out Friday, and I skipped. I didn't have cake. Twice there was cake, and I didn't have any. I had different things, parties for people, and so I felt good about that. And then I did the thing of just putting food on my plate and not having things touch. So, yeah, so I was successful. I know, I was worried about it. But I think that'll be the biggest challenge of my sister's, is not to drink wine, because it's something we've done together quite a bit. Yeah, I can skip dessert. They're not big dessert people, anyway. And I think she does eat like quinoa, a lot of healthy stuff, so it's going to be mostly a portion control thing, I think. That's my plan, anyway. Yeah, no, I mean, so far it's good, because I get off track, but then, I make up. Like, I haven't been eating the desserts, obviously, because I ate them all last weekend. I'm afraid it's going to happen every time I get a new order of stuff. There's still a few desserts over in my friend's refrigerator. And what I did, after we worked last weekend together, I brought home 2 apple crisps, so we each had one. So I'll keep sharing them with her that way. And just try and be better about not bringing them home. That was my mistake. So let me go ahead and place an order, too. I've got my order. It's still right? Is it still in the system? Let me make sure I've got my wallet. I've got my purse. So just leave it in the car. No, there it is. And can I change the delivery date? I said the 7th, but because I'm going to have extra food, let's push it till the next week. Like the Tuesday, the 11th. They do Tuesday delivery? I forget. Let's do the 13th. Because I've got a thing after work on the 12th, so I won't be able to come home and unpack. Yeah, and because this weekend, there's several meals I didn't have. Yeah, I think I'll be fine, because I've still got, I got a couple days behind. I haven't even started my third week yet, which I won't start till I get back, so that's about perfect. No, I'm going to change cards again. No, that was my Amazon Visa card, because the first one I used the first time around was my Southwest that I had to replace. I've got my new Southwest number now for airline points. $426-8415-2650-6413. Is 620. $87544, right? And that should be the card that lasts. Unless I lose it again, but... So I'm about to go out to lunch, too. And this restaurant I'll be going to again on Friday with somebody else. And I'm thinking, generally restaurants do really big servings, so I've already thought, well, I should get... One of the people I'm meeting today is an older, tiny, tiny woman, so she only ever eats half of her meal anyway, and I thought I can just watch her and then take home half of it also. They have some different salads and stuff. I didn't, no. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Good idea. I know, so I went to my brother's the other night, last Friday, and that's where I had the nothing touching. They had, some, like, grilled chicken. That was really good. I just had the one small piece, and a little bit of salmon. And then she had a 3-bean salad that was kidney beans, green beans, and pasta, and so I picked out just the beans. But then as we sat there talking, I ended up, like, taking the pasta. Just it looked so good. It looked the pasta much. So that was the not out of sight problem. So that'll probably be dinner tonight too, which means there's another not dinner. So. But I think it's good, My sister, of course, has no clue what it's all about. And I lied to her. I told her she's 50, not 59, so. Hopefully she won't ask me what it is now. But it's those little things, right? But, I think she thinks she can lose like 10 pounds a week or something. 5 pounds a week. And so I did tell her it's always faster at the beginning, and then, the typical is 1 to 2 pounds a week after that. So my next big thing that I'll be really happy is when I get below 140, because that I don't think I've done in years. Not 140, 240. But I think so, yeah. I'm looking, I think, by the holidays maybe, coming down to below 200 would be great. That's like 6 months. Yeah. If I just can stay sticking with it. So. Thanks. It's the first time really felt like I could stick to anything long term. So, yeah, people keep asking me what I think of it. I said, the food's good. It's just really tiny little portions. But once you get used to that, it's okay. I'm actually pretty used to it now. You know, that I feel pretty full after one. I think, man, that's a change. But also drinking more water helps, I think. I've been really good at that, and I've never been able to stick with that before either. I'm also drinking Crystal Light, so. But that's okay, right? It's like, it's not sugar, it's, I don't know what it is. Fake sweetener. Yeah. I used to always avoid those except in diet soda. It's okay, but okay. If it works, it works. Okay, well, yes, Wednesday the 5th at 3 o'clock. And then the food will be delivered on the 13th. Yeah, it's been coming really end of the day, so, and the stuff is pretty much all melted because it's hot here. So, yeah, the dry ice. I mean, it's still been frozen, but I don't want to have to wait till I get home at like 8 or 9. I have an event after work on Wednesday. So, thank you. I'm glad you were free right now. Okay. Great. Thanks. Bye.
For, say, March.
I have to make an appointment.
Okay.
For next week. And I'm only here on Thursday and Friday, so I hope she is too. She's only here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, probably. Is she here this Friday?
Let's see. And this would be next Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, July 6th and 7th.
Looks like she's got everything open other than that. 7th. She's open.
Let's do it Friday then.
Okay, what time?
Oh, say 10 o'clock. Yeah, we've only done half of our tour.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. So they had a lunch appointment at 11:45, so we toured till 11:40. I had a lunch appointment at 12, came late for. Actually, we changed it to 12:15, but so hopefully I'll be back when they're ready to start up again. They're going to Blue Window, though, so I think that's probably slow.
So 10 to 11.
Let me put it on my calendar. Thank you.
I can't find my keys. Oh, gosh, they were all the way.